Hello, America. Dave Hodges here, host of the Common Sense Show. We are the show that is freeing America one enslaved mind at a time. And we're trying to make it one enslaved soul at a time, too. And a lot of our souls are enslaved. And enslavement is really a theme of what's coming with the data centers. And we're looking at this problem from a million different angles because it carries a million different threats. This is something you don't want. I'm not against technology. I have never been against technology. Technology is neutral, but it's how you use the technology that makes it beneficial or threatening. And it is extremely threatening. And some people say, oh, Dave, it's just an exaggeration. It's sci-fi. Sentient AI will never pose a threat. These guys are just making society better. Well, no, they're not. No, they're not. They're guided, and I told you this yesterday, by the philosophy of Curtis Yarvin. He's entitled to his beliefs, but he says freedom and democracy are not compatible. That statement gets spewed. It's like they just retweet it over and over and over. And I'm talking Sam Altman, Peter Thiel, Mark Zuckerberg, all of them, all of them embrace this. Corporations should run America. Your rights don't matter. And you don't matter because we're replacing you with AI. The face of labor is changing. I just saw a clip that says that in a couple of years, 10% of the trucks on the road will be run by AI. Driverless trucks. First of all, if I see one, I'm giving it a wide berth. I don't trust it, never will trust it. I know the arguments, they don't get tired, they're not using cocaine. I've heard it all. I mean, this actually was said. I'm not buying it. And also, too, it tells you where gas is going for price because, see, AI doesn't have to meet a family budget. We know that when diesel reaches 6.50 a gallon, many truckers say they're walking away because they can't make money on a load. And we're going to be approaching that with the suicide war that we're in with Iran that's just destroying our economy, not to mention our military defenses, where 80% of our interceptors are depleted. We're done. It's crazy how bad this has become. That's another topic for another time. I wanted to walk you through a little history and talk about Ohio because I don't think you can fully appreciate what is truly happening with the AI threat to America, the data center threat. Well, first of all, too, if I go on certain social media, I get shadow banned like crazy because I'm not in favor of how this technology is being used. It could be used to benefit humanity. It's not. It's being used to fatten the coffers of the people behind it. And I don't mind profits, but profits at the expense of what? And the profits are extreme. Um, we want to talk about a guy named Wexner, New Albany, and we want to talk about the exportation of these practices associated with AI data centers. And we're going to give you an update on the Hoover Dam. Oh, this is not good. It's not good at all for people in the Southwest. And you almost think it's deliberate. And I'll tell you why I'm starting to think that's true. It's not paranoia, it's not an unfounded claim. It's looking at a series of progressive actions and then coming to the conclusion that I think is really infallible. So we're going to cover all that here in this particular segment of the Common Sense Show. But first, I want to take you to our sponsor because supply chains, if we restart this war and make it a ground war, supply chains are going to be a problem. And that means food and medicine will be affected. And China right now is being affected by this war. Now, they're working on alternative strategies, which we're going to report on. And I have to hand it to the Chinese. I'm not a fan of their government by any means. CCP is as evil as it gets. Just ask the Falun Gong. But the ingenuity that they're practicing puts us to shame. I'm not saying they're more talented and smarter. They're just more intelligent about how they apply their resources to preserving their country. They're dedicated to their country. We got people serving in Washington that are dedicated to whatever feeds them money, regardless of what it does to the country. And I think we've made that point really clear. Is that all politicians? It's most. because that's the way the system is built. Corporate donations determine who wins elections. So do foreign governments. Let's ask Thomas Massey. But let's talk about this product series of products you have right here. If you get the starter pack, it's 15% off. You get three nanosoma liquid sprays. And you know my history with this. I owe these products my life because I had strep lung linings RSV with a very negative prognosis from two really good expert doctors. And Dave, at your age, not going to happen. And Scotty Sachs came along and says, Dave, I'm telling you, this may help you. And it did. And there's no limit to how much you can use it because it's all natural. And what it does, it boosts your immune system to unbelievable levels. It doesn't cure anything, but the immune system function. And today, I'm operating at such a higher plane. I just I was telling someone just last night is I said, yeah, I'm going to be doing my sprint workout tonight and da 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 da. Da. How old are you? Yeah, I got that. And then I proceeded to run my sprints, and it's just the eyes get this big. And it's okay. It's I don't do it for anyone else's approval. I do it for my longevity, but I also, and I may not get out of the qualifiers, but I'm training for the Senior Olympics and in three events, 50 meter, 100 meter, and the basketball hot shot, trying to resurrect the old shot, which was okay at one time. And this product made it really possible. I was headed for oxygen tanks, the whole nine yards, couldn't walk up a flight of stairs. Then you have the gel. Well, I'm able to have no limitations in the gym. I can do what I want to do. Now I'm smart because I still have a rotator, ACL, stuff like that that may not be protected. I'm not sure, but my joints are because this grows pluripotent stem cells and it helps you replace lost cartilage. Just rub it on. Now, for me, it took 6 weeks to feel significantly better, 8 weeks before I can do anything I want. And today's leg day. And I may kick in a couple extra sprints after I'm done with the gym today. And it's just I'm not bragging. I just am in amazement I can still do these things and do them at a fairly high level. And then they have the skin cream, which treats cuts and burns. Together, as starter pack, these products are indispensable if we have well, especially if you can't get your medicine. Boost your immune system. Be prepared. Every medicine kit in America, every bathroom should have this in its medicine chest. Go to iwantmyhealthback.com/Dave Hodges. iwantmyhealthback.com/Dave Hodges. Okay, let's talk about Wexner. Um, this is what's out here publicly. Okay, I have to say, I have copied the research because it's voluminous. I didn't need to go do any. I did do a little bit. I just satisfied myself that the pejorative view on this man and his background are accurate. And then the application of what he's after is accurate, and it's very accurate. And it kind of gives you a feeling for where things are going. Now, I just want you to imagine in your mind for a second, okay? And a lot of you will have trouble with this because we are programmed as people to have cognitive dissonance. We expect tomorrow to be the same as today because for most of us, there's stability and security with that. And we like a predictable environment. We're not unlike the family dog. Change the residence, change the routine, the dogs get upset. Well, human beings are basically the same way. And we're about ready to go through a big, big upset. We're experiencing the beginning throes of it. And I don't know why I'm sensitized to it to this degree. And on some of the platforms you're going to hear this on, I'm absolutely wasting my time because the people who will hear it have been greatly diminished. But in some of my platforms, they're growing like crazy. I mean, our podcast is still, and it's actually, I think, going to go up soon in the top 0.5% in the world. You just got to go to listen notes, put in the Common Sense Show, and you'll see that that's true. And I am on a mission now to talk about this because I am here to expand the kingdom of Jesus Christ. And I know bad days are ahead. I know there's a tribulation somewhere in the future, may not be in my lifetime, may not be in your lifetime. It could be, but that's beside the point. I'm here to do one thing. I defend God, family, country, and they're interwoven with each other. And I'm not going to defend a country that's abandoned its people, which has happened. We're $40 trillion in debt. It's the fault of both parties. Hey, twiddle-dee, twiddle-dum. Don't give me the MAGA. MAGA went out the window when we attacked Iran. Look at the gas prices, look at your food prices, and tell me I'm wrong. As in the words of the famous Charlie Kirk, who I miss dearly, prove me wrong. So Wexner, it's come out now in the Epstein files, latest tranche that's released. You can see this for yourself. He's a benefactor of Epstein. Now, Epstein just didn't do the horrendous things with kids that we know. He also was in business, real estate deals, a lot of real estate deals. And this is where Wexner really interfaces with him. He's been tied to organized crime, and there's a lot of investigative reporters that have made these ties. Now, where is he at today with this? I don't know. I don't know. What really tied this on, though, was the assassination of one of his key lawyers. And I believe the year was 1985. And then fingers started to look at Wexner. But he endeared himself to the right people. He's associated with groups that are behind the malls, Abercrombie, Fitch, um, all this stuff. I mean, he's really entrenched in a lot of different areas, but no more so than big tech. He's in Ohio. He supports J.D. Vance. Now, J.D. Vance is Peter Thiel's of Palantir. He's Peter Thiel's boy, and Peter Thiel won the lottery when he got J.D. Vance in as vice president. But Wexner is right there with this whole tech bro group. And they did a project here that you don't hear about unless you live in the area because the media won't cover it. And you actually have to go into local government primary source data to find this. So listen, put your ear next to the speaker because what I'm about to tell you should disturb you. It's called New Albany. Now, they've abandoned a lot of the things they were doing in New Albany when it started to attract attention from people like me. And they didn't want people to know that this was a beta test for what's coming. New Albany was the old company town of the 19th century, the mining towns like Baghdad, Arizona. The company owns everything. They own the grocery store, they own all the homes and rent it out. They basically own every single business, and the people that live there are kept at a subsistence level so low, you'd almost compare it to feudalism. The old company towns. Well, this was New Albany. Corporate rule, government dictators. Oh, you go ahead and sue for your constitutional rights, but we'll outspend you. We'll do discovery until you're broke. And that was the MO that they operated on. And so people really had no basis to fight back. So this was a beta test. Public-private partnership running local government. And they can do anything to you they want. And we already are seeing this creep in places like Utah, where they criminalized homelessness and have detention camps for them. And we've covered this in a number of ways, a number of times. What disturbs me about this is they're not trying to help. They're profiting. They put these people into camps where they're basically slave labor for the Fortune 500 companies for the forced labor they have to do to pay off their debt to society. Oh, you don't go to jail if you can pay the $500 first time fine and the $1,000 second time fine. If you can pay, but if you could pay that off, you wouldn't be homeless, would you? See, they have a captive audience. And I want to point something out to you. What they do to one of us, they will do to all of us if they can get away with it. You may not be in the homeless category, and I hope you're not, but you might be in some category that they don't like. And I believe as we approach more difficult times, Christians are going to be increasingly targeted, and we're already seeing some evidence of that. And I am concerned that this really could expand. Uh, so we have corporate government like New Albany. We have the allowance of targeted groups. You know how unconstitutional that is to be arrested because you can't afford to live in overpriced housing? That companies like BlackRock, hello, we want to buy your home. Well, it's not for sale. Well, your home is worth 400,000, but we'll give you 500,000 if you move on it in 30 days. Well, a lot of people say, well, I'll move to get $100,000, but that jacks up the price in the entire neighborhood. Now, everybody else too has to pay higher property taxes as a result of this. They've made housing unaffordable. And then we catch these companies like Phoenix was busted, a bunch of companies busted for this, where they collude on rental prices. So different groups owning different apartments are all, hey, what if we do this? And centralizing agents, they'd communicate through centralized computers and they would find out, what are you going to charge? Oh, for a one bedroom, oh, 1,700 a month sounds good to me. And this all happened during the COVID years and rents went sky high. Okay, now you've got people who are homeless who may not even be jobless. They just can't afford to live in a home. I saw a deal, I can't remember where I saw this, but it was a lady in her early 40s, and the rent went up so high she couldn't afford it. Now she had her car, and her car was paid off, and she was forced to live in her car. And she still works, is what she do is go in and clean people's homes. She bought a gym membership on that money so she could go shower and have good grooming and that kind of thing. But she had to live in her car, and she would sleep at Walmart parking lot by the truckers because it was safer. This is not a drug addict. This was not a lowlife, as you might use the term. This was someone who got priced out of the housing market through no fault of her own. And that is all part of the tech bros. The private equity investor behind the tech bros that are doing this is BlackRock, and they're the ones that jack up the home prices, make you pay more property tax. This is I won't, how do you say it's collusion without really being direct collusion? Okay. It's a directional aspect of business. Private equity, tech bros, New Albany. New Albany is going to be your new future. The Trump administration has been captured by these people. In fact, when you go to, I made a list here of the people I saw in the Trump inauguration photo. You had Jeff Bezos, Zuckerberg, Elon Musk, Wexler, Ellison. You know what he owns, by the way? He doesn't get enough credit for being the great businessman that he is. A lot of people say, oh, he's just Oracle and the Stargate project, which should scare you. We'll actually cover that at some future date. But he also has bought up Paramount and CBS News and CNN and HBO, and is one of the people that didn't like Charlie's position towards Netanyahu. Exactly. In fact, he owns TikTok. I did an experiment on TikTok. I went on there and I criticized Netanyahu's IDF actions in Gaza. But immediate strike with a threat to remove my account. Now, I don't like TikTok. I don't like to go on TikTok. That was just an experiment. But it satisfied where media is going. You serve a foreign nation in Israel. The tech bros love this because of the Gaza project that's coming. And they're going to do it through the whole Middle East. They're also expanding it to South America, right? The populist leader in Argentina has signed up all kinds of AI companies that don't even have human employees. And this whole movement of the data centers has gone to South America. It's going to take Gaza, it's going to take a lot of the Middle East, and it's going to become global. And it's happening here right now, today. Okay. Now, New Albany is a future look into 15-minute cities. And this concept is popularized at all these think tank groups that world leaders go to, whether it's the G7 or it's the World Economic Forum. They have all discussed this. We waste too much energy. You don't need that much living space. You'll be just fine living in high-rise structures, and you don't need to go any further than 15 minutes from your home. And this is where the old saying came, you'll own nothing and you'll love it. This is scary because this type of dictatorship was prevalent, I believe it was three different times in the Old Testament in the nation of Israel. And each time they went down this route after some kind of reform effort was good and then it failed because they introduced these devilish gods, so to speak, in their version, Ashra, Moloch, Baal. And this is what we have now. We have Moloch right now being the tech bros. And a lot of people say tech bros are already satanic. I haven't looked into it to really satisfy myself that that's true. But would it surprise me? Well, they have a complete disdain for the welfare of America. And we have pointed that out time and time again. I mean, when you build data centers in drought-ridden areas and take millions of gallons of water, drive electricity rates up for a country that can't afford it, where you have 65% of the country that can't afford a $500 car repair bill, and now you're looking at, like I am, 17% more in my electric bill with Arizona Public Service to fund the data centers. You tell me, how much do they care about America? They really don't. So this 15-minute city concept is in their mind, and it was in evidence in New Albany. And we see other communities like that too. Bill Gates is building a community west of Phoenix, and it's stalled and slowed somewhat, but it's going to happen. It's going to happen. Now, what's the real fear? The Constitution allows for the freedom of religion. It allows we Christians to be Christian. When you cut into the Constitution through corporate rule, like with public-private partnerships, you put at risk every constitutional liberty. I'll give you an example. Flock cameras, and we're going to cover that in a later segment today. But very quickly, this is unwarranted search and seizure. Oh, no, no, no. You made your data public. We didn't make it public. It was extracted from us. And I believe we should be legally challenging this every day in courts across the country. Your data, in my humble opinion, is your personal possession. And to do what like flock cameras do, it's unwarranted search, Fourth Amendment violation. And then when you get a ticket, because they say you sped, and we know, remember the red light cameras, how they caught them, doing the quick yellow to catch people in the intersection. So they got the uh, mail by ticket. Remember that? This is the abuse we're looking at here. And this is something that should concern all of you. The things I've gone through, tell me what the data centers do for you. They do absolutely nothing. They're not replacing a worn out grid. Our five grid systems are outdated. We know that. They're vulnerable to terrorism. They don't change that. You know what the primary purpose of the data centers are? Play the theme from Jeopardy here while you think about that. The primary purpose of a data center is to take your data to train their AI. You're paying in many ways, more ways than one, for the tech bros to get richer at your expense and the expense of your civil liberties. And this should be a problem. And what's the old saying? Power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. If this goes to its natural course, like we saw in New Albany, and you have a rollerball, the movie for 1975, where six corporations ruled the world. If you have a rollerball kind of civilization, you have no rights. It's what the CEO dictator says, and this is what Curtis Yarvin, who's the chief philosopher of these tech bros and what they believe, freedom and democracy are not compatible, quote unquote. And then everything is at risk. And as a Christian, I have to say this greatly concerns me. You see, America, I think, became great because we weren't perfect, certainly made a lot of mistakes, but the Christian faith, I think, propelled us to great heights. This is in jeopardy now. Any right you have right now is in jeopardy. The right to travel. Voting, well, some people argue it doesn't matter now. Well, it certainly won't matter under these people. Do you think you're going to get to vote on whether or not you can travel more than 15 minutes away from your home? Hmm? And then here's the biggest question I want you to think about. These people are taking away so much from you. They want the war with Iran so they can expand their technocracy through the Middle East, sacrificing your standard of living. And if we go ground war, it'll be your kids and grandkids coming home in body bags. This is something that should be greatly disturbing to all of you. Did we not learn anything from Vietnam? Special interest war accomplished nothing of a national interest for America. Stop the spread of communism. Well, after 10 years and the profits are made and the people are up in arms, now they have to pull out. What did we gain from that war? Answer, absolutely nothing. We haven't fought a war to win decisively. You might say the Iraq War, but that was fought for Israel and the oil companies. But we haven't fought a war to win nationally since World War II. And we are going to soon be unneeded fat on the bone. And you're saying, well, what do you mean by that, Dave? What will happen to capitalism when the AI takes the jobs? What will happen? There won't be any consumerism because you're not going to have the money to spend. But here's what they say to answer that so you don't get nervous. Oh, we'll provide you with universal basic income. And we're going to trust people right now we can't trust right now to take care of our basic needs. So, am I really being paranoid? Am I stirring up fear unnecessarily? No, my job, my shirt says it. I'm a watchman. I'm telling you there is trouble. And what's the answer? I'm actually talking to some Republicans in both Arizona and Colorado, and they're taking some advice from me, some of them on voter integrity, but they're unhappy with the GOP. They're unhappy with MAGA. I think they realize the fallacy of starting a third party. That'll go nowhere the way the system is set up right now. But they're looking for answers. And I've told them there's one answer. Number one, you don't vote for anyone who's not a Christian. And I know that's going to make people who aren't Christians mad. Well, I just will have to deal with that, won't I? But if we ran this nation based on Christian principles, I think we'd see unparalleled success. We'd certainly have a more loving country. To have some of the politicians we have in office, like Mark Kelly, our senator in Arizona, who takes usually between 15 and $25 million a year from some Chinese interests. Mitch McConnell, who we don't know if he's dead or alive, but Mitch McConnell's wife, his in-laws, his wife's side there, they control the six major ports in China, and he gets over $20 million a year. Do you think that's a conflict of interest? 94% of Congress takes donations from AIPAC, the only unregistered foreign lobby in America, influencing American politics. Do you think that has a bearing on whether we're fighting this war or not? You see, having politicians like this would make no sense if this was a Christian nation. You keep your word when you're a Christian. You put your hand on the Bible and you swear to uphold the Constitution of the United States and defend America. And what they have done is exploit your resources. You have never been more productive as a worker than you are right now. We have all the data to show it, but our standard of living is going down because we've gone through wealth redistribution. And this is why I'm saying I'm not, I say this unapologetically. I won't vote for anyone I don't think is a Christian. I'll do a write-in candidate if I have to. Now, some people say, Dave, why even vote? Well, I think we need to vote and keep our fingers crossed and hope for the best. But if you want to gain God's favor, you got to repent and walk the other way. And then use your influence to get other people to do the same thing. And we could have a Christian revival in this country. Now, there are pastors that tell me, who I respect, that they're seeing revival within their own church and their church is growing, and they give me evidence for this. But I maintain it's not happening fast enough nationally to counter what's coming at us. You don't want to live in a society like New Albany. You don't want to live in a society like the Communist Chinese Party in China brings to their people. Because once you get that digital system, it's game over. Digital dollar, they can take your money. They can fine you. They can limit what you can buy. And I'm wondering how you're going to get your money. And do these look like the people that will actually support you in UBI? See, this is how conspiracy theories start. People look at this, it doesn't make sense. If we can't trust them to basically be fair in business and have honesty and integrity in their business dealings with Americans, then once there's no jobs, how can we trust them to take care of us with UBI? The answer is you'd be a fool to believe that. And then what comes after that? And see, this is where people say, oh, that's a conspiracy theory. Well, I think it's a good consideration to look at given past behavior, because the best predictor of future behavior is past behavior. And so again, I come back to what's the answer? Well, there are some people that I heard Whitney Webb say this the other day, and I agree with her. Don't patronize Amazon and some of the other big tech guys. Bring them down to size as much as you can. You have the power of the purse for the moment. But the biggest thing you can do is live your life by Christian principles. Because if you get God on your side, the supernatural can happen. And I think we're at the point where we're looking at that is our escape hatch. But I will tell you this, there's benefits. It's not just saving the nation or saving your standard of living. The benefits of becoming a Christian are omnipresent in every single way. If you have a better idea, I'll entertain it. I won't be critical of you. I might say I disagree, but I'm not going to criticize you because you have an opinion. Show me a better way, because what we're doing right now is clearly not working. Now, I will say this. Some people say it's too late for America. We've lost our salvation on God's judgment. And I hear this a lot. If that's true, individual salvation and group salvation is still possible. So don't use national failure as an excuse not to meet your destiny. I'm Dave Hodges. God bless all of you. We'll see you back here in the next segment. Thanks for joining us.